thought I had escaped the nightmare forever. When I left my hometown at 24, I changed everything. My phone number, my apartment, even the way I styled my hair. I wanted no reminders of the man who had spent years controlling every part of my life. He wasn't my husband or my father. He had been my stepfather, and after my mother passed away, his quiet cruelty turned into something far darker. Every insult, every threat, every broken promise convinced me that disappearing was the only way to survive. For 3 peaceful years, I believed I had succeeded. I found a small apartment in another city and worked at a neighborhood bookstore. The owner, Mrs. Evelyn, treated every employee like family. Customers knew me by name, children laughed during story hour, and life finally felt normal. Then one rainy Tuesday afternoon, the bookstore door opened. A familiar voice said, "I finally found you." My entire body froze. Standing near the entrance was him. He looked older, his hair streaked with gray, but his cold smile hadn't changed. "You can't hide forever," he whispered. My hands trembled so badly that I dropped the books I was holding. Mrs. Evelyn noticed immediately. "Emma," she asked gently, "are you okay?" Before I could answer, the man smiled politely. "I'm her father." The lie came so naturally that several customers smiled at him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I quietly walked into the storage room and locked the door. For years I had promised myself that if he ever found me again, I would never let him control me. Yet fear returned the moment I heard his voice. A few minutes later, someone knocked softly. It was Mrs. Evelyn. "You don't have to tell me everything," she said. "But whoever that man is, you're afraid of him." I nodded, tears running down my face. Without asking another question, she picked up her phone. "He isn't welcome here anymore." She calmly asked him to leave the store. When he refused, she called the police. He finally walked away, glaring at the windows before disappearing into the rain. I thought it was over. It wasn't. The next morning, flowers appeared outside my apartment. No card, only a single white rose. The day after that, someone scratched my name into my mailbox. Then anonymous calls started coming every night. No one spoke. Only breathing. Sleep became impossible. I stopped walking home alone and checked behind me every few minutes. One evening, while locking the bookstore, I noticed a young delivery driver watching me. Panic rushed through my body. But instead of approaching, he asked carefully, "Miss, are you all right?" I realized he had seen me looking over my shoulder all week. Before I could answer, tears filled my eyes. "My name is Noah," he said. "If someone is bothering you, you don't have to pretend you're okay." It was such a simple sentence. No one had ever asked me that before. I finally told someone the truth. Not every detail. Just enough. Noah listened without interrupting. Then he said something that changed everything. "You survived him once. This time, you won't have to do it alone." The following days, kindness surrounded me in ways I never expected. Mrs. Evelyn adjusted my work schedule so I would never close the store alone. Noah walked me home after work, even when it meant taking a longer route to his own apartment. My elderly neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, always kept her porch light on until she saw me safely inside. The local police took my report seriously and increased patrols around the neighborhood. For the first time in years, I realized something important. Fear grows in silence. Kindness grows in community. A week later, everything came to a head. I was leaving work when I saw him waiting beside my car. "I've been patient," he said. "You belong with your family." "You are not my family," I replied. His expression darkened. "You think these strangers care about you?" Before I could answer, another voice spoke. "They do." Mrs. Evelyn stepped outside the bookstore. Behind her came Noah. Mrs. Lopez appeared from across the street. Several shop owners I recognized walked toward us. Even customers who happened to be nearby stopped when they sensed something was wrong. My stepfather looked around. For the first time, he wasn't facing a frightened young woman. He was facing an entire community. "You should leave," Noah said firmly. Police sirens echoed in the distance. Someone had already called them. The man glared at me one last time before trying to walk away. Officers stopped him before he reached the corner. Because of previous reports, witness statements, and evidence collected over several days, he was taken into custody for harassment and violating legal restrictions that had been put in place after earlier complaints. As the police car disappeared, I felt something unexpected. Not joy. Relief. Years of fear seemed to lift from my shoulders. I hadn't escaped because I ran far enough. I escaped because I finally stopped running alone. Months later, life slowly became peaceful again. The bookstore grew busier than ever. Noah and I became close friends, built on trust rather than fear. Mrs. Evelyn still insisted everyone share homemade cookies every Friday afternoon. One little girl who visited the bookstore every weekend asked me why everyone there smiled so much. I looked around the room. Mrs. Evelyn was helping an elderly customer. Noah was carrying heavy boxes for another employee. Mrs. Lopez was reading picture books to children in the corner. I smiled. Because kindness makes people feel safe. The little girl nodded thoughtfully before hugging the book she wanted to buy. That evening, I walked home beneath a sky filled with orange and pink clouds. For the first time in many years, I didn't look over my shoulder. I simply kept walking forward. I once believed escaping meant disappearing from the people who wanted to hurt me. Now I knew the truth. Real freedom isn't found by hiding. It's found when kindness gives you the courage to stand, the strength to heal, and the reminder that even after the darkest chapters of life, there are always good people willing to help you write a better ending.